Hi, my name is Dr. Kat Schenke, and I'm the co-founder and lead consultant at EdTech Recharge. EdTech Recharge is a small but powerful research consulting firm that works with EdTech entrepreneurs with one key objective, and that is to bring the science of learning and motivation into developing better products. Today, I wanted to share some information with you on how to amp up the motivational design of your products. I wanted to answer one key question, and that is, how can we design products to support motivation, engagement, and learning? After all, we're in the business of helping kids learn. So the first question is, well, what is motivation? Motivation is the drive that users have to continuously engage in your product activities or curriculum. I know some people typically think of motivation as initiating or starting that, but it's also about that continuous engagement. For example, you don't want a lot of people to download the free trial of your product and then not use it after a week. In this presentation, we're going to answer two key questions. So the first is, how do I get users to start using my product? And the second is, how do I get them to continue using that product? So how do I get users to start using my product? So before we start, I'm going to paint a little picture for you. So imagine that you're an avid hiker and that you have an upcoming hiking trip of a mountain you've never climbed before this weekend. You got the recommendation from some of your hiking friends. The first thing you ask yourself is, well, can I even make it up the top of this mountain? It's probably unlikely that you're going to even attempt to go up the mountain if you don't think that you're going to make it. So can you do it? Can you make it up the mountain? Then you might also be asking yourself, well, why do I even want to go up the mountain in the first place? Is it that my friends recommended it to me? Is it that there's going to be a really nice view at the top of that mountain? Is it that I think of myself as a moderately skilled hiker and that this is just the next mountain that I need to climb on my bucket list? And then you might also think about the costs associated with it. What's the weather going to be like? Is it going to be really slippery? Do I have to take the day off of work to do this? So we can also translate this story into the EdTech space and motivation to start using your product. So can I successfully make it up the mountain turns into, can I successfully use this product? Or we also call this the expectations for success, or expectancy. Can I use this product? Do I think I'm going to be able to play this game successfully? We also think about, well, why do I even want to use this in the first place? Do I have a specific goal in mind, like reducing the number of hours I spend grading my students' work? Is it that I'm genuinely interested in solving science puzzles, and I just like games that have science puzzles in them? And we also think about the costs associated. So, do I have to convince my principal or superintendent to purchase this expensive product? Do I have to pay for the product out of pocket? We can also think about non-financial costs, like the time commitment spent. Do I have to spend my weekend in a professional development seminar to learn how to use this product? Is the learning curve for using this product really steep? These are all questions that we ask ourselves. So we constantly think about evaluating these trade-offs. We think about the expectations for success in using the product. We think about maximizing the value that the product brings, and then we think about minimizing the costs associated with this product. This is really important also in thinking about sales pitches, right? You want to maximize expectations for success and value and minimize the costs. Now, when we think about value, or why do I even want to use this product, we can think about it in three different ways. So the first way is attainment value, or how important is this to who I am as a person? Again, I used as the example, I'm a really tech-savvy teacher, and it's really important for me to have the latest technology in the classroom. Just like it's important to me as a moderately skilled avid hiker that I climb this mountain. We can also think about interest value. How interested in this am I? And then lastly, we think about utility value, or the usefulness. How useful is this product to the goals that I'm trying to accomplish? Am I trying to get my child better at spelling? Am I trying to cut down my grading time? These are examples of utility value. So when you're thinking about your product and how to maximize people even using your product, you can ask yourself these relevant questions. How easy is it for individuals to understand, use, play your product? How valuable is the product to what they want to do? Or how valuable is the product to the goals that they're trying to accomplish? And do users have to sacrifice anything, either within or outside of the product, to even use it, right? Are they sacrificing finances, time? You can think about a lot of different costs. So I would urge you to either do this with hypothetical users or sitting down with real users and going through this kind of matrix. So I've broken down expectancy, value, cost into opportunities and barriers. So for example, you can think about some hypothetical barriers to expectancy. I don't think I can learn how to use this app. I don't think I'll be able to do well on this games. I don't think I'll be able to do well on the games in this app. There might be some opportunities in the value column. So I'm interested in the content this product has to offer. I see myself as a teacher who's trying to integrate more tech into my classroom. Or this product has the potential to be really useful for me, for example, in trying to cut my grading time in half. And costs, for example. The product is too expensive. The product takes too much time to learn. So I urge you to critically think about your product and go through this exercise in evaluating the opportunities and barriers to expectations, values, and costs in your product. So great. Now that you've successfully gotten users to start using your product, how do you get them to keep using your product? So I wanted to share a little bit about myself. I was really into the game Math Blaster as a child. And for those of you who haven't heard of this, it's basically a drill and kill math game where you answer a bunch of math questions and then you're able to shoot a bunch of lasers in space. And what's interesting about this is it's kind of a big example, or the quintessential example that we have of chocolate-covered broccoli. So doing the math problems, right, doing the addition problems is like the broccoli or the learning. And then getting to shoot the lasers is like the chocolate or the fun part. And in a chocolate-covered broccoli approach, we typically think of learning as divorced from the fun, right? We're not infusing chocolate into the broccoli. We're simply covering the broccoli with chocolate, hoping to feed it to kids. Now, why this isn't a useful way to think about learning is that we're propagating this idea that learning isn't fun in and of itself. We think of it as a chore that we have to do in order to get that chocolate. So what can we do instead? Well, we can think about intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is this idea that you're doing something for its inherent satisfaction rather than some separable consequence. So in the Math Blaster example, I'm doing the math problems because I like solving problems, not because I just want to shoot the laser. So there's a few ways that we can support intrinsic motivation in your product. The first of being is autonomy and supporting users' autonomy. So this is the idea that users need to feel like they have some control over their environment, that they're able to make meaningful choices in that environment. The second is supporting their competence. So users need to feel like they are competent and can achieve in that environment. And keep in mind, this reminds us a lot of expectancy. Can I do it? In the last construct that we talked about. And then finally, relatedness. We need to support their relatedness in using the product. Users need to feel like they're connected and feel like they belong in that environment. So there's different ways that we can more concretely support intrinsic motivation in your product. So if we want to amp up the autonomy support, we can think about including opportunities for choice and specifically meaningful choice. So this is where I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of research with your users. What's a meaningful choice that your users want to make? For example, you might find that for the particular age group and demographic of kids that you're trying to target, choosing their avatar and designing their avatar is really meaningful to them. That is a good way to support autonomy. However, if you find that choosing the color of their avatar's outfit is not meaningful to them, that is not going to be a feature that you want to integrate in your product to amp up the autonomy support and thereby make your product more intrinsically motivating. So do some research and figure out what's meaningful to your audience. Next, when we think about increasing users' competence in that environment, we can think about things like creating opportunities for small wins or leveling up, right? You wouldn't want to start at level 50. We want to start at level 1. And we want to then slowly build up to the difficulty level and really scaffold what users can do in that environment. And lastly, if it seems appropriate for your product, think about ways that you can support relationship building or sense of belonging in your product. For example, can you add chat functions in? Can you add team exercises or ways for users to engage on or off your product? So what we've covered today is that users' decisions to engage in using your product are influenced by the following. So whether they think they can successfully use your product, whether using your product provides some value to them, and whether those two outweigh any costs there are to using the product. And then how do we get users to continue that engagement in using your product? Well, we can think about amping up the intrinsic motivation, and that is by supporting their autonomy, so giving them choice, supporting their competence, making them feel capable and confident in that environment, and then supporting ways to build relationships and create a sense of belonging. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Dr. Kat Schenke from EdTech Recharge. We'd love for you to connect with us on LinkedIn or in person, and please send us your comments, questions. We'd love to talk to you further. Thank you.